So this is the $50 million question, isn't it? How can you stop yourself from having the thoughts that you don't want to be having? Well, the short answer is you can't. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear, because I deliberately titled this video, How to Stop Your Thoughts, because that's the goal that so many people have when they come and see me, is the goal is to stop having the thoughts. And this is something that is so important to understand early on in trying to help yourself overcome your OCD, is that we can't control the things that pop into our head. You cannot stop the thoughts from popping into your head. If you don't believe me, ask yourself this: how long have you been trying to control what pops into your head, or trying to stop things that you don't like popping into your head? How long have you been doing that? Now, likely thing is that you probably say, well, I've always been doing that, or as long as I can remember having the problem. And if that's the case, then ask yourself this: if you've been trying to do it for so long, why are you still having the problem? Because it's impossible. You're trying to achieve the impossible by trying to block out those thoughts, trying to stop the thoughts from coming in, because we don't have control over the things that pop into our minds. We only have control over what we then do with the things that pop into our minds. So for example, whether we decide to listen to it, whether we imbue it with meaning, whether we carry on that thought process, or whether we just ignore it. That's where we have control. But we don't have control over what pops into our head. And equally important is the fact that the more that you try and control the uncontrollable, i.e. force yourself to stop thinking about something, where's your focus? If you're trying to stop thinking about something, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on the exact thing that you don't want to be focusing on. So by trying not to think about it, you're actually getting yourself to think about it more. And that's how it becomes such a problem, is the more you try and stop it, the worse it gets. So if the answer is not to try and stop the thoughts, then what is the answer? What do I do with my thoughts? Well, this very short answer is you do nothing. Now, that probably sounds like a really unhelpful or difficult thing, or perhaps even kind of a ridiculous thing to say about thoughts that you find really disturbing. But ultimately, that is the shortest answer, is that what we want people to do with these thoughts that pop up into their heads is we want people to do nothing. We want people to ignore them, like they're just gobbledygook, that they don't mean anything. So we want people to stop imbuing them with meaning, to stop paying attention and acting on those thoughts, to stop trying to push them away, to stop replacing them with other thoughts. We just want you to let the thoughts be there in your head and not pay attention to them. Now, obviously, when you've been paying attention to thoughts for a long time and you've been imbuing them with meaning, or trying to push them away, or engaging in them, having arguments with them, when you've been really paying attention to them, it takes a lot of practice to get you to start doing something different. Well, actually, for some people, they do. Once they get this idea, I've just got to let the thoughts be there, they can start to do that. But it isn't as easy as it sounds. Well, actually, it probably doesn't even sound easy. So we do understand that it's not as easy as that just ignore them and that's it. We've got to now get you to retrain your brain by behaving differently with those thoughts. And the first primary thing is you've got to stop trying to stop the thoughts. You cannot stop what comes into your head. I'm sorry that I'm going on about this, but it's such an important point that your goal here in dealing with your OCD cannot be to stop the thoughts, because it doesn't work. It's impossible and you will never achieve it. And the more you try and achieve it, the more you will keep focusing on the problem and the problematic thoughts, and the worse it's going to feel. So what we're going to do in some more of these videos is I'm going to exemplify this in some of the other thought videos, and we're going to start showing you some training exercises as well for how to just let the thoughts be there and observe them without engaging in them. But just so I'm not leaving you with anything, I want you to think about starting to think about those thoughts in a different way. So when they come into your head, rather than trying to get rid of them or erase them or act on them, just try and see if you can notice them without attaching importance or appraising them anyway. Notice them and just let them be there and let them pass. So if you imagine, for example, that you're standing on a busy train platform and there's trains coming and going, imagine your thought is like a train. You can watch it come into the platform and you can watch it leave. You don't have to get on board that train. And even if you do get on board that train, you can decide to get off again. So we want to start thinking about you are the person who gets to decide whether or not you think about the thoughts. You get to decide whether you board the train, okay? So it's about them coming and going, letting them, you can watch them come in, watch them go out without engaging on them. So they become just like passing traffic on a motorway. Okay, some people like the idea of thinking of them as the sort of, leaves and twigs and things that are floating down a river. And you just watch it float on by. You're not wading into the river and trying to pull this stuff out. It's just there. And that's how we want to get you to start thinking about this. You can't control them. You can't control whether or not it comes into your mind, but you can control what you decide to do with it then.